frick we doing, dude? How the frick we doing right now?
How the frick are we doing?
Yeah.
We're doing bad, actually.
Oh.
We're doing bad.
That's not a good energy to bring to the
yeah.
pod.
I'm sorry, guys.
We're doing positive vibes here.
We're doing bad because I have allergies. I have bad allergies right now. Pollen allergies, I think. I used to think it was grass. It's pollen, I'm pretty sure, and I'll tell you why. I never had it before until I lived in Washington, D.C. for a summer. And then I felt like I had the worst sinus infection of my life. I could not breathe.
Yeah.
You know, my wife told me that it's probably because urban planners and arborists have put nothing but male trees in urban areas because they're easier to take care of.
Is
and
that
so
it?
You're just getting sprayed with pollen just constantly, living in like a place that has any concrete.
That makes no sense to me, because wouldn't that just make the streets dirtier with like pollen and that kind
No,
of
it does, but it's also, I think it's to prevent them from dying. You know,
Yeah.
because they'll die otherwise. I don't know why. I guess it's just the feminine form or
Yeah.
whatever. But
harder to take care of.
harder to take care of. Regardless, so I've had itchy eyes. You know, I've been sneezing for like a month now, but I've been getting these really bad itchy eyes lately, just like puffy red eyes. And we have a lilac bush in our backyard.
Beautiful.
It's a beautiful, beautiful lilac bush, and my wife's obsessed with it. And she was looking online, and she probably saw some video on Instagram or something, and it was like, how to make lilac syrup.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'd heard her talking about the potential. She
Yes.
bought a bunch of citric acid.
Citric acid.
For the purpose of creating this lilac syrup.
Water and sugar,
Yeah.
lilac syrup. And so basically what you do is you...
Either that or she was going to teach high school chemistry, one or the other.
That or make a, we buy some fertilizer, make a bomb.
Yeah.
But, so she, I'm in the garage getting it all cleaned up and worked on, and she's outside cutting up, sprigs of this lilac.
Mm-hmm.
And I go back inside, and she has a whole pile of it, like a mountain of cocaine on the kitchen table.
That was a weird simile to use.
Yeah, well, it's white and, fluffy
Okay.
and,
Yeah.
large, and, I don't know, it made sense to me. Anyway, so we're all sitting there, and...
I don't know, I just, I feel like you're projecting,
She's watching a, like a Starz prestige drama or something, and...
Like Downton Abbey.
No, it was. I think it was Outlander. I think.
Oh,
and she was watching
even worse.
Yeah, right. And she's sitting there like plucking the. You have to take every single flower individually and separate it from the stem.
Mm-hmm.
And they're tiny. Like lilac flowers are like this big, guys. For everybody at home watching, really, really, really tiny. And so she's just going one at a time, right? And literally, her fingers are covered in purple dust, like it's just caked with dirt. Which is
like
just
cocaine.
Which is pollen. It's all pollen. We ended up having a friend over yesterday, and she's with Rebecca, and they start working on it together, and I feel bad, and so I sit down and I start also working on it. And eventually I start going like, oh my word. And like my entire face turns red, like my eyes are puffy. I go into the bathroom, take a Claritin, clears up. Claritin clear,
yeah.
But they say 24-hour protection, that's BS. I sit back down and I start working on it again, and I'm helping him out. And again, my hands are covered. I end up touching my eyes at one point, and now,
dude, you made the classic blunder.
I made the classic blunder. Now my entire house is a pollen zone. Like I cleared up the second I left my own home.
Dude,
today.
you are being attacked for guerrilla warfare style on your own homeland.
This is Agent Orange.
On your own land.
I'm gonna come home and get beat up by a bunch of hippies and then be confined to a wheelchair for the rest of my life, metaphorically, by this pollen. And the worst part about it is that now there's this delicious lilac syrup, which I did have a sip of.
Yeah, I was about to ask you whether or not that
and it was absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
Right? And
I
don't know if I can drink it. I don't know if I can drink it.
Okay.
I don't know. My eyes got worse after
You know
I
what we
drank
need
it.
to do? We need to bring that lilac syrup here, and we need to do a taste test. When you're outside of the pollen zone, as you refer to it as, and that way you can see what's going on.
Well, it was delicious, so it might be worth it in the end. I think it's, I'm sure that the lilacs themselves aren't the problem. I think it's the pollen, so potentially, I'm able to drink it, which would be great, but I don't know. The other problem, too, is that I don't know if you know this, but every plant has symbiotic bugs.
Yeah, true.
So there's these...
every plant? Are you...
Yeah. Well, there's these dime-sized spiders that are white that live in lilacs. And
nice.
so we were
That sounds like hell.
Yeah, and so we were just periodically opening up a lilac, and a spider would jump out, and we ended up having to create like a systemized way of killing them because we had to kill so many spiders. And I am sure
They're in your house.
They're in my house.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And then today, I found 3 different beetles today just running around. I'm like, there's no way in hell that these guys just made it into my house.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you've got an old home, so they could have. But at the same time, I mean, the circumstances are pretty rough.
I pulled a couple out of those out of the flowers, so I know for sure. Mm-hmm. This is the problem. This is what happens when you mix man and nature.
Yeah.
Outside.
I mean, you're trying to dominate nature by bringing it into, industrialized.
Yes. That's why I mow. It's to show. It's to teach the grass a lesson. it's to make. This
is what happens when you encroach on, both man and the sky, places you don't belong.
I'm attempting to make an example of the grass so that the lilacs and other various plant life know that the real boss here is me. Mm-hmm. I know how to.
Well, I mean, what you need to do at your home is do that to the ants, man. You got to do that.
Oh gosh,
to the
I have a lot of ants too.
I mean, from what I can tell, what I'm reading from the situation is that nature is winning in your home right now. It's man versus nature, but
that's
nature
true.
is especially now
that we have a pet now.
Yeah,
which is nature ultimately supplanting humanity in every way, shape, and form.
Or is that you dominating nature to the point of subservience?
No. So, especially when it comes to the animal that we have. For all of you guys at home who have been bothering me in real life about getting a gecko, I did not get a gecko. It was too much money, and we're trying to do something that's going to be pretty low maintenance regardless. So I did what every man does and makes a concession for their wife. And every man should.
Every man should.
Yeah. I keep hitting this mic stand.
I know, dude. What is this, amateur hour, dude?
I don't know, man. No, so 3 days ago, I feel like this is like a monologue.
I know. I'm enraptured.
Yeah. 3 days ago,
Shad's journey.
My wife has a special power where she can manifest things. Mm-hmm. Where she'll say something offhand.
Is this like The Secret, power of positive thinking?
I think it's less that, and I think it's more of a mystic connection.
Okay, yeah.
It has nothing to do with praying to the universe. It just has to do with.
It's more like a shamanistic thing.
Well, she just says a word out loud and it'll happen. She literally 3 days ago, or I guess now at this point, 4 days ago, she looks up and she says, I think that it would be kind of cool if we had a cat. And I'm like, well, that's an option. I think it's way less work than a dog, and based on what I do and what you do, I think that makes sense. And we just leave it after I make a tacit endorsement, knowing full well that nothing's going to come of this. That was my first mistake.
Yeah, there you go.
My second mistake was not instantly saying no when she was like, oh, so I just got a text message 2 days later from one of my ex-coworkers, and she said, do you want a cat? I have 4 kittens to give away.
Let me stop you there.
Yeah.
Shad, I'm sad to be the person to tell you this.
No.
But you've been set up, brother. You were set up,
brother. It wasn't a setup. I double-checked that it wasn't a setup.
What did you do to double-check?
I asked my wife.
What's she going to say if it was a setup,
So are you saying this was a psyop? She personally went out of her way to mention offhand so that I would agree to it, so that later she would actually show her dice?
Dude, it's not crazy, man. The CIA has done crazier things, our trusted government officials. So, your wife, is she compromised?
Psyoped by the woman who I am, one flesh with, my wife herself?
Yes. Dude,
who can I trust if that's the case?
I'm sorry to break it to you, man, but it happens.
Well,
all I'm going to say is you should look into it.
Much like many moderate organizations in the Middle East, walk directly into this trap. And as I walked directly into this trap, she was like, we got to go look at them. And I looked at her in the face and I said, Becca, I know for damn sure we're taking that thing home. Yeah. You can't just say we're going to go look at them. Yeah. That's not, and I was like, we have to go grab before we go.
Yeah.
Right? And there's 2 things
that was very, you had surrendered before seeing the cat entirely at that point. If you were buying supplies before you go
There's 2 things that I've come to understand more and more as I've been married. 2 things that make me angry. One is being hungry.
Okay.
And
understood. You're a hangry boy.
I'm a hangry boy. And 2 is spending money.
Yeah, is that frustrating?
So imagine my face walking through Walmart, putting various cat accoutrement into a cart, having not eaten for 8 hours, knowing full well.
One of those was definitely your fault, though.
I know, knowing full well. Oh gosh, this is turning into a whole saga because I have another story related to this. So So knowing full well that I am going to, I have to be getting a cat. I'm already spending this money. I'm thinking about every piece of furniture I own.
Yeah.
And
what's going to be destroyed.
Every carpet I have. Like, this thing is going to come in and just
you're just like
of worlds.
You're like the spiritual avatar of our father.
I know. I've realized that
person.
as I've gotten older, I've become more and more like our dad.
Yeah.
In a way, I don't even know you if you.
No,
have.
I mean, like, you're talking about things like the whole spending money thing and the cat and being like, oh, what about the carpets and all that stuff? That's stuff that just water off my back. Dude.
Yeah, no, that's the sort of thing I care about. So we're walking through another thing that for some reason I duly I don't know why this makes me angry, but my wife, we were just standing there and we had done no research.
Yeah,
we don't know the first thing about owning a cat. She doesn't know the first thing. All she knows is she wants one. We're standing there and we're in the litter aisle and we're looking at all these litters, and she walks up to the craziest woman in Walmart and is like, do you recommend a certain cat litter?
Is she wearing a coat?
No, she was looking,
just a random...
She was just a random woman and her daughter looking at some toys, but she just went off about, different food varietals, like tips and tricks. She pointed out just individual toys, for different age groups of cats. She ran through every single one of the litters.
You confronted the shaman, man, in their place of worship.
I did confront the shaman in her place of worship. Although I think that there was a crazier woman, which was the one that had an entire cart full of wet food. That was not her, but
that is the most judgmental thing. Because who knows? She could be out there feeding stray cats, that are not getting any food. And filling the neighborhood with stray cats.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I think the supporting
it could be from the bottom of her pure heart.
The supporting of stray cats is actually a negative thing. I think culturally.
There's a reason why you're pro blood diamond, anti-stray cat. Then.
I am anti-stray cat. There's a reason why the government. There is a nonprofit in town, and this is part of the reason I agreed to this is because we discovered this, that there's a nonprofit in town where if you just write them and you say, can I have a voucher? They'll pay for your neutering because they're we just please stop having cats.
Yeah.
Please, we have too many cats. Anyway, so at this point I've spent money and I'm hungry. And so I'm pissed. And Becca's like, we need to stop and get some food. And I said, okay, where do you want to go? And I don't want to make a decision because I'm hungry and angry and I've spent money and I don't want to spend more money. And she said, well, we could try Blimpies.
Oh, Shad, you're going to hate it at Blimpies.
I said, we go to Blimpies.
You're going to hate it there. I know this.
Hate it there. Okay, so we go to Blimpies. And
what's Blimpies?
Blimpies is a, I guess there's a running joke in 30 Rock about how bad it is, but it's just kind of the bottom of the barrel sub shop. It's in some cases.
Which is tough because you're in competition with Subway.
You're in competition with Subway. Now, this Blimpies of whose location I'm not going to be explicit about, but is attached to a grocery store. And because of that, they have the deli meats and stuff. So that was good. Mm-hmm. They hand sliced it, which actually sounds great on paper, but in practice, I'll tell you why, it was not amazing. So we show up, and we're looking at the menu briefly, and I'm like, okay, Becca, why don't you order? And Becca orders, and the guy walks up to us, and he, I don't know how to put this.
I'm not psyched about what's about to come out of your mouth.
He's in his own head.
Okay.
He's what Joe Pavalardo would describe as an artist.
Yeah,
right?
Okay, yeah.
He's just a little artistic.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so...
A sandwich artist.
A sandwich artist.
Yeah.
He's sandwich artistic, as it were. And he takes our orders, which is a whole rigmarole. He's double checking everything that we ordered. And I'm not kidding you. It took us 25 minutes to get those sandwiches.
You made those sandwiches for 25 minutes?
For 25 minutes. Us just watching him do it. He took the bread out, cut both of the breads at the same time, screwed up, had to restart cutting the bread, did the bread. And the whole time, he's doing a running commentary and talking to me about his sandwich making process.
Yeah.
Now, he's so methodical in this that he's every slice of cheese goes on with precision. He's like the Picasso of sandwich artists. Right? Actually, I wouldn't say Picasso. Picasso wasn't a very precise artist, but you know what I mean, right? The Michelangelo of sandwich artists. He's putting everything down.
He's constructing the Sistine Chapel on that bread.
He's slicing the deli meat, which means he has to operate the deli slicer.
Yeah.
So
which is a whole process.
He's like, he takes out the meat, puts it on, slams it shut, and then he makes some sort of like, he does a whole elegy about, these things are real dangerous. And then...
Dude, I'm not gonna. I don't want to.
Then back over to the club, so you got to do 3 different types of deli meats, right?
All I'm gonna say is right now, this man sounds like he might have. I don't want to judge this man.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think this man might have been taking some sort of drug.
No, trust me, dude.
He wasn't spaced.
If you looked at this guy, he's an archetype.
Yeah.
He was. If you did the form, like truth.
Yeah.
He was the capital B black nerd.
Yeah.
Guy.
Okay. Yeah.
He just he had the vibe.
Yeah.
He was just that dude. Mm-hmm. Like the only black guy at a Yu-Gi-Oh convention kind of dude.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
which is a great dude.
It's a great dude, but crazy autistic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's just so focused on these sandwiches. And it takes us 25 minutes to get these sandwiches. And of course they're bad.
Yeah.
But one thing that I gotta say that really helped out in this whole scenario was that he had my back. He had my back in a way that a sandwich artist has never had my back. He told me I was wrong. He looked up and he said, "You ever been to Blimpie's before?" And I said, "No." And this is right after I ordered spicy mustard.
Yeah.
And he says, "Dude, I've had the spicy mustard, and one of my coworkers have had the spicy mustard. You don't want the spicy mustard." And I said, "Dude, I don't. Thank you so much." Put some Frank Thread out on there. I don't care, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think
he had your back, dude.
He had my back.
It's just
in a way that I don't think any sandwich artist has. So
that guy went the extra mile.
He was slow, and the sandwich was still, bad because it was there, but he really cared in a way that I've never seen someone care.
Hey, if you're out there, brother, get out the pod.
Yeah, right.
I want you right there.
I'm sure you would.
Yeah.
But anyway, we finished that up, and now we're gonna go pick up this cat. All right.
My goodness, what time is it? What day of the week is this now?
Yeah. So we gotta pick up this cat, and the whole picking up process was a thing. But I'll cut it short. But you show up. There's 3 separate cats. We want a boy, but of course the one that likes us is a girl. Mm-hmm. So we take the girl home and whatnot. And we're sitting there. Oh, what's up, Lucy? She heard someone talking about a cat, and she said, "Not on my watch."
No. Well, now I feel bad about bringing her over to your house at any point because I'm nervous about confrontation.
No, the cat was raised with a dog. So
okay.
And
Lucy's
chill,
so she'll be okay.
She'll be fine.
Yeah. But our families will not be broken apart by this conflict.
Animal conflicts.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So we got the cat and we bring it home, and of course, the second we bring it home, we realize we haven't got half the crap that we need, and I don't know. The funny thing is, though, is that there another family that has a bunch of young kids got the other 2 kittens. Mm-hmm. So we got 1 kitten, and they got the other 2 kittens. And my wife saw them today, and the youngest daughter just had scratches all over her hands because the kids were so rowdy with them.
Yeah,
and it's what? Why don't you have scratches on your hands? Are you not playing with her? It's yeah, we're playing with her.
But not like that.
But not like that. So yeah, no. Today at work, she slept on my lap, and I'm probably gonna be the average dad who it's I didn't want the pet, but now the pet's mine because I work from home, so I'm just hanging out with it.
That's the situation I got with this doggo right here, dude. Yeah. She's basically
So for you, also wanted the pet.
I did. I was all about it. I really wanted this dog.
Gosh, she is up in my grill right now,
dude. Oh, so you were talking about. Oh my gosh, she's really a podcast dog right now. She's just hanging out.
Hey, can you give us a little something? No. You have nothing to say? Okay. I was hoping that you would at least lick it or sniff.
Yeah, something cute,
Yeah.
Come on, Lucy, we need to drive those subscribers up. Get up here.
People at home.
No, so you're talking a bit about nature and its battle against you, but.
Well, so actually, there we go. Actually, no, let me finish this. I forgot. I got so into the sandwich artist story, I forgot this. All right, I'm already feeling it because the cat is evolved in a way that even dogs haven't in relation to enslaving the human race. Mm-hmm. They have these microbes. You know about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have these microbes in their feces that makes it so that small prey becomes like not scared of them anymore. You know, and what happens is that if a mouse is around the cat feces for too long, it gets brain slaved, and the cat will like walk up to it and just grab it, right? Because it no longer has the fear receptors that are active. Now, humans are also affected by this microbe at, of course, a much slower and not as powerful rate because we're fully grown mammals, so we think, right? But we're still slave to bugs.
Yeah,
I don't know, but bug slaves. But the microbes get into your brain, and so that makes you more happy with your cat than you should be because the thing is like hates you. The kitten right now doesn't hate us because I'm the only thing that it knows, and so if I'm out of the room for 20 minutes, it'll like freak out, but. The second that it grows up, it's gonna hate my freaking guts.
I mean, like any child, it transitions.
Say, I hate you. Yeah, I hate you, Dad.
No, let me go out, please. Okay, so nature has sieged my home.
Yes,
in a terrible way. It turns out that about 50% of the plant life surrounding my home is all poison ivy. We're talking poison ivy vines. Poison ivy trees. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Wait, that's a thing?
It's literally a thing. And we just found this out. Okay, so literally a full trunk.
Yeah.
Right. It's not big. It's like, it's about that around for the people on the camera. I'd say it's like.
So, like potatoes?
Yeah, it's about a potato width. It's a potato width
a russet potato width.
Yeah. And so, there's bushes, there's trees, there's vines all over our house. So, one thing you might not know about my wife, but she's very allergic to poison ivy.
Yeah.
And it takes 2 weeks for poison ivy to react to you. So you get infected with the oils.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, you start to see the repercussions of it. So we've been working in the yard for 2 solid weeks. And now Abby is just destroyed. She's covered in terrible boils.
Like deathly?
Not deathly. I mean, she went and got the steroid shot, but it's like our own home that I put so much love and care into is just fighting back at us.
Care, money.
Money, specifically the money.
Specifically
is the
money.
Yeah. Well, so then now we're going to be, have to uproot everything, throw poison all over the place to try to make this thing go away. But man, it just
poison
breaks my heart.
It reminds me of what I've had to do with the moles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have moles in my backyard. And Becca insisted that I look up how to take care of them humanely.
Oh, okay.
And this was after I've killed them. And she just insisted I look it up. I don't think she actually insists I do it this way, but she insisted.
I mean, that's what we'd like to believe.
I have already killed them all in cold blood. I am exceedingly anti-varmint. I'm sorry for anybody who for any city folk listening right now. I'm sorry about doing that, but no, I have killed them all. I've blooded myself. I've been blooded, as the Vikings would say.
Yeah, you look like it changed you, man.
I did. But it's funny. I imagine that there's also like non-pesticide ways to get rid of poison ivy, but it all sounds like witch doctor stuff, right? They're like, plant like these plants. Right, or like,
are you trying to diminish like the shamans of old times? This is a very shaman-centric episode for me.
The older I get, the more that I think the shamans might have had something right.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
they're out there. You wouldn't say that the Native Americans didn't have to experience mole problems, man?
No, they certainly didn't.
I mean,
I don't know. I mean, outside of like,
they're varmints.
Outside of like a few agricultural tribes on the East Coast and whatnot, I think many of them were a little too nomadic to worry about moles.
All I'm going to say is that, being anti-marmot is marmot. Pretty
anti-varmint.
Well, I think a marmot is a varmint, so it works. Yeah. Anti-varmint is something instilled.
Transcends race, nationality.
Ever since
creed.
A garden snake destroyed humanity and threw us into sin, right? We've been anti-varmint.
Garden snake. Yeah, that.
I have garden snakes, by the way.
Really?
A lot of them, right?
That's awesome.
The problem is, I guess this all comes back to my wife, but she's deathly afraid of snakes. So
but they get rid of pests.
I know. Well, you can't explain that. I don't like with spiders. I know that they, help
you're a little arachnophobic boy.
But I hate that stuff. Yeah. Right? Like I gotta take that out, man.
Yeah. So far, the only bug problems I have is I live next to like a gyre of some sort. So we got some. Mosquitoes.
I haven't had any mosquitoes this year. Anyway.
Lucky.
This is all very interesting stuff.
Yeah.
But we gotta throw this over to a couple of things. First and foremost, this show is about us talking about our monomaniacal obsessions of the week, right? The things that we're focused on, right, leading up into now. Usually we got a guest on to talk about theirs, but we got these two boys right here. We're monomaniacs. We name the show after ourselves. So
True.
we're going to talk about our monomaniacal obsessions of the week. Shad,
What was yours?
what is mine? Okay,
Yeah.
you're tossing it over to me.
Yeah, because at the start of the show you said that you had one.
At the start of the show, this was done in confidence before cameras were rolling. That's what's sacred.
I told you
time.
I didn't have one.
This sick. I thought you were going to think of one. Whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
We're very professional here at
Incredible.
Monomaniacs. Okay, so what I've been into, this is very artistic of me.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, in the classic sense, the Papalardo sense, that great scholar of sociology. I have been really into, and this is funny because it came from our episode with Ian Andrews.
Yeah.
So he talked about this Civil War board game that he had purchased.
Yeah.
And that it was too dense. He just like could not understand the rules, and he was sort of thinking about giving up on it. And so I looked it up, and I was like, oh, I just want to know what this thing is. So I looked it up, saw it, and I saw pictures of it, and I was like, oh man, I might be into that kind of thing. I don't know. So I'm really into war games right now.
Yeah.
Or the idea. I'm in that early Genesis where I don't buy the thing. But like if I'm not doing anything at work for like 20 minutes and I like think for a second, I'm like, what do I do? I'm like, oh, I'll just hop over there and look at some pictures of war games over there.
Yeah.
But like this is
Simulation games.
Yeah. This is something that's, because a lot of people have played Risk before.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like nothing to that equivalent. It's this grid board, at 1-to-1, not 1-to-1 scale.
1-to-1 scale.
2 scale.
You're driving around the American South.
Moving giant pieces around.
Yeah.
Big scale version of, maps of all these things, and then all these tiny little pieces that represent regiments and brigades, and you move them around and all that jazz. And from what I can tell from the outside is I actually think it would be entirely unfun to play.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like, I can't imagine the sheer amount of math, how much you'd have to keep track of, all the rules. It's incredibly obtuse. It's made back in the 80s, and that obtuse design was just very frequent.
Video games didn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things where I'm like, oh man, I like the aesthetic of it, like the idea of actually running a campaign, right? Like being a general in that sense.
Yeah.
From a romantic perspective, but like the actual implementation, I can't imagine would be fun.
Just play a video game, dude.
Well, that's the thing is that I ended up buying a video game version of like a World War II equivalent. I've been having fun with that. I've been, putting it in. But it's like the act of standing over a table and a map and pushing guys around, it's something I miss in a way. I have to actually do the thing.
And there's a little more logistics than say for something like diplomacy.
Yeah.
Which I played a diplomacy game recently, and that was like a absolute. I hate that game.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that game so much.
It's rough.
It's rough.
But yeah, you have to understand, because we're both into dense, nerdy board games, right? I'm a little bit more into the really, really dense ones, but what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know, man. I think that there's better ways to scratch that itch.
But I thought you were going to say there's better ways to spend your time.
Honestly, I was.
You could go touch grass. I don't know.
I was actually literally about to say that.
Yeah,
There's better ways to spend your time. If I and I'm only saying this because right now I'm also kind of pursuing a specific artistic focus, which is model painting.
Yeah.
For people who are watching, there's models that are painted on that thing right there, which are painted by Dylan, who is a middling model painter, much like me.
Wow. I don't know how to feel about that, Steve, but
I don't know. I've seen some stuff online. We're doomed to be middling. But I decided that I was going to.
We're not nearly artistic enough.
Yeah, Dylan hasn't used his materials in a long time, so I took some and was working on some backlog, and I'm having a great time, right? But for me, that feels a little bit more productive than I've started to realize that a part of what makes the difference between like a transient monomaniac and somebody who's really a powerful, like eldritch monomaniac is doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and getting around, because I feel like when we were younger, there was this drive to do that doesn't exist so much anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Because I remember when we were kids, like, a good example is Blood Bowl, which is our favorite board game of all time. You know, we didn't have the money, the experience, or anything to, like, play it, so we took, like, a piece of paper and coins and played, you know? And we found the rules online, and that's how we learned how to play, where, you know, there's a certain drive that you kind of have to make things happen. And I've realized now that I've just, after watching so many videos about model painting and all this stuff, and just actually being like, I'm going to do it, and then doing it, I had the time of my life. I was having a great time. I was living it up. You know? I didn't have a single thought for like 2 hours.
I know.
Which is a great way to live. And so I think that's sort of the difference, right? Where you kind of have to, and I do this all the time when I'm talking to people who are kind of like stuck in creative ruts. You know, and this is like a do as I say, not as I do situation, because like I also kind of wallow in creative ruts sometimes, but you are so much more productive if you just act, right? Because it's so easy to say, I don't have the time, I don't have the equipment, I don't have the specific, like right now, I'm learning how to draw right now. Good example. I'm learning how to draw right now. I'm terrible. I'm so bad. It's like I'm worse at drawing than I think I've been I've been at anything in my entire life. But I'm seeing market improvement, and what I'm doing is just
I will argue that you're
every
probably worse at running the mile, but that's just me.
Dude, I've been running for like 3 years.
Sorry, I forgot. I was thinking back to, you know.
You were just trying to make fun of me being fat. That's all you were trying to do.
Not at all. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. That's me. Why would I ever do that to my brother? That's crazy. Something you touch on, though, that I think is the real rub there, is that I also experience, you know, when I actually sit down to do something like paint, you know, having the time of my life. But at the same time, it's so much easier not to do things. I know John Mulaney has a bit about this, but like, you know, it's just it feels so much better just to be like, no, I'm not going to do that. Right. And so I don't know if it feels better than actually doing the thing, but what it is a similar serotonin boost. Like if I sit down and I'm like, I'm thinking about doing X today. It's like, okay, I finished work. It's late because I work late. What am I going to do? Am I going to do something that requires no effort whatsoever, or am I going to do the thing that's more rewarding that requires effort? Feels good to just say, no, I'm going to treat myself and do nothing tonight. It actually has a dopamine hit just to deny doing something. Right. So I feel like that's sort of that limitation.
And that's why you'll always be a follower.
I know it.
And never a leader. Not to get like Jocko Willink about it, but you know, you're
I mean, I get that though.
Yeah, you got to kind of sometimes like make that extra push, because otherwise you're going to be stuck, right?
Well, I mean, that's why our sort of monomaniacal obsessions, or our propensity to do that, I think in some ways is that motivating factor. That's like lightning in a bottle that stays for a very short time, but that's when we're the most active and the most disciplined, right? When we're able to have that lightning in the bottle moment. And so we're really good at doing a lot of things in a short period amount of time, and then switching to something else entirely.
So this is actually, I've just kind of created a syllogism or a structure for how to do this properly.
Okay.
Right. Find a monomaniacal obsession that's productive, you know, like a skill of some sort, an artistic pursuit, a writing project, a development, but somehow trick your brain to think that exists contra labor.
Yeah.
Right? Like in my brain right now, the way I have it wired, and it's partially because I've moved all of my stuff that I'm using for drawing and for model painting and for these like focus things into a garage, right? That I'm like, oh, I'm not working. I'm going to go do this because this is leisure.
Yeah, this is not work.
It's effort for sure, and I'm bad at it, but it's still not work, right? And I think that a problem right now that a lot of people are having, especially since a lot of people are working from home, which is, you know, like what you and I do, is that they're like, oh, well, what do I do for fun? I sit in front of this screen. well, what do I do for labor? I sit in front of this screen, right? Like,
It's true.
It's no longer, there used to be this joke where it's like, I'm tired of looking at the bad screen. I want to go home and look at the good screen. Now the good screen and the bad screen are the same screen.
They're the same screen.
Right, so you don't have that advantage. And
Yeah.
so no matter what, you're kind of forced to be like, and I felt this. I've had days where, like, I never, until the pandemic, had screen fatigue.
Yeah.
Because I would always focus on other things and go around. But, like, since the pandemic started, I've just had constant screen fatigue. Like red iris, not right now, this is allergies, but like red iris screen fatigue. My wife has noticed it because it's like you wake up, you go downstairs, you clock into work, and then after work's done, you're like, well, what do I do? You're like, I don't know, watch YouTube videos, like sit on my phone.
Yeah.
Like your phone is another screen, right? You're going to just continuously cause that damage as the day goes on, and you're just going to, bore further and further into that hole.
So is the only escape our monomaniacal obsessions, right? Or
I
the
think-
actualization.
I think it's taking your monomaniacal obsession and finding one that's for good.
True.
It's like at the end of a long running book series of books or novels or comic books where they have to go to the villain and say, we need your help. A greater threat is approached. You need to approach your monomaniacal proclivities and say there's a Thanos level problem, which is screen fatigue. Can you just focus on something that involves paper for once, right? And then eventually you can kind of make that move. I mean, I'm short-sighted now. I wasn't before the pandemic.
That's rough.
Yeah. I'm
That's
legit short-sighted. I can't see, everything going on at Mass anymore. I have a hard time reading menus because of the pandemic.
Well, you already have in bed eyesight.
I already had, but it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
It's gotten a lot worse. But
real quick, Josh, where are we at on time?
38.
38? Perfect. I think this is a great time to segue into Patreon stuff. Boys and girls out there in the wide world. We do this and are able to do this because of our Patreon subscribers. The folks out there that believe in the project we are out to do, right? This great societal change we're enacting by recording this podcast.
One small step for boys.
Yeah. That being said, we'd like to thank our top patrons, that being Joe Papalardo and Mom and Dad. Thank you for the money.
If you want Dylan to say thank you for the money, then feel free to give at our highest tier, and
the lieutenant tier. And we'll shout you out every episode. And every episode we record a special post episode, right? A Patreon exclusive. And that's content for the real winners out there. That we say some things.
It's kind of spicy, I gotta admit.
Yeah. Behind the paywall, who knows what could be said. So that's going to be at $5 if you're interested in accessing that content. And hey, you could just pay $5, listen to all of it in a week, and then just call it good. We don't judge. We'll take your $5. Who cares? That being said, we also have the $10 tier, which is Ask Me Anything tier, and they've got questions that they're throwing at us. They've got questions, and here we are.
Yeah,
it's just us two.
Don't get ahead of your skis right now because you haven't opened them up yet.
What? I was just, I might have had a long introduction to
I know.
it.
I saw you winded up for the long introduction. I wanted to laugh.
Thank you, dude. All right, okay. So we got a lot of questions. I asked for some additional questions because we were having an episode with just Shad and I. So, if we wanted to, keep going. So, of course, as I mentioned in the previous episode, we got questions from two of our followers in that tier. Guys, keep throwing them in our way if you want to hear what we have to say. You're paying for it, so you might as well. Okay, so this one is going to be from Joe Papalardo.
As always, the maestro. I was on the phone, or I texted back and forth with Joe Papalardo today about how Toxicity by System of a Down is a perfect record. But, I'm sure his question has something to do with that.
You just dropped that just to drop it. Dude.
I did drop it. Yeah.
Jeez.
Chop Suey is a perfect song.
That's true. Yeah. Did you agree with Rolling Stones when they gave it the #1 rock song spot?
Of what?
Of I don't know, I think of all time or something like that.
No way.
Yeah. Look this up.
Look this up, Josh.
It might be #1 metal song, but double check it.
I mean, it's a perfect song. So, I would be willing to say Chop Suey by System of a Down, Rolling Stones.
See, it's number one.
Josh has obviously never heard chop suey.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to show him chop suey.
Dude, yeah.
In the Patreon, we're going to show him chop suey. We're going to show Josh.
Why not?
We're going to do one of those guy hears song for the first time videos, but for the Patreon, it's going to be chop suey.
Dad listens to Pimp a Butterfly for the first time. What?
There's
There's nothing. You're not seeing anything.
not from
Dude,
Dylan's spitting fake news
Dude, what are
right
we
now.
No.
paying this guy money for, dude?
Well, there's an article that's about their song Toxicity, 10 Things You Didn't Know.
No.
Oh, that's probably the album.
Or the album, yeah.
Yeah.
But
10
no,
Things You Didn't Know.
that's
so
it.
that's not the one.
That's it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
When we're transitioning into the Patreon, I will be vindicated here.
Okay.
I will look this up. I will find it. Okay. Joe Papalardo asks this question. It's a tough one. Okay, so just prepare your loins. If the twins attempted a wife swap, who would the woman shoot first?
Who would they shoot first?
Yeah, so like which one of our wives would shoot
Well,
the other?
actually, I think this is actually more of a question. It's less of a question about our general annoyance capabilities and more of a question of the
Tolerance.
rage that our wives are capable of.
Yeah, the tolerance that they might have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say the thing about it is like, you know, the only
Well, you gotta keep in mind that my wife has Lebanese blood.
what about Lebanese blood?
In the Middle East, it's a fiery place. The Northern Mediterranean,
A lot going on
A
over
lot
there.
going on.
Yeah.
The Eastern Mediterranean.
I think it would be my wife.
I actually also agree.
Yeah,
I think
I
your
think
wife
it
would
would-
commit shoot first.
Yeah, she would be the first to shoot.
Because she has a lot of tolerance for you because I think she loves you.
Yeah.
I think she would have much less tolerance for me.
It's true.
It's
True.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, I mean, she's just more. She's more. I'm not gonna say. She's more anal retentive than your wife, right?
Yeah,
Right.
That's
And-
true.
And I don't mean that in a bad way because it's a great thing. You know, it helps our
Yeah, sure.
relationship.
The thing that
because I'm
would
not
make
the
her
same
shoot
way.
me is a great
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, I know it's
But
great.
the yeah, my wife honestly would probably just ignore you rather
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
make a thing out of it.
My wife couldn't stand that.
Yeah, no.
She'd have to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
So
In
I'm
the
glad that was an
actually-
easy question.
Yeah, in the Patreon, actually, I kind of want to talk about wife swap because there's always a question I've had about wife swap. Now that I don't
bet you
wanna
wonder.
Yeah.
But you wonder what the question is.
Yeah, you should subscribe to the Patreon because we can't talk about it here, but I have a very distinct question about the nature of wife swap.
Are you sure it's not YouTube save?
Yeah.
All right. So here's a question from Joe. This one sucks, so I'm going to read it aloud.
Okay.
Just be like, Joe, what the frick were you thinking? The Prestige is a cool movie. Do you both think it's cool? Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Actually, that's a great question.
Joe.
And my answer is yes. I do think The Prestige is cool. The last time I watched it was with my old roommate and with Rebecca, and my old roommate and I were high-fiving the entire film. And Becca was like, "What the hell did I just watch?" I think it's a really good dudes rock Christopher Nolan flick.
Yeah.
And we had it, Ian Andrews on the show a couple of weeks ago, which you guys should go back and watch that episode. It's really good. But when we were talking to him about Tenet, it was like that was an incomprehensible and incredibly stupid movie. Imagine The Prestige is less stupid, but equally as incomprehensible. And
I don't know about equally incomprehensible, but so I've been sort of like soured on this film because I knew a guy who thought it was his favorite movie, or he didn't think it was his favorite.
That's
movie.
what I was going to say. Thought it was his favorite
yeah.
movie. I don't think
He
you can think someone's your favorite movie.
I'm going to say he claimed.
Yeah.
He claimed it was his favorite film. And that is insane to me, right? Like I can say like Dudes Rock, it's a great film, right? Awesome. But I have a really hard time seeing it as somebody's favorite movie.
Yeah.
And so like when it comes to Joe's question, yes, it's cool. But like the fact that person has said that to me and has tried to convince that of me has made me think less of the film. If that makes any sense, right? Like what they're stating to be.
It's like every time a Texan tells you about Whataburger and you're like, this place has got to suck.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same kind of thing where it's like, if somebody comes out and is like, oh, this is my favorite X of all time, and just proceeds to try to explain to you why,
Yeah.
it actually sounds less and less appealing with every passing second.
That's true.
Especially just the way that they're doing
It's
it.
probably why I like the media that I do because, nobody's like barking in my ear about how good it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Unless of course it's toxicity by the system of down. Which is a perfect
I mean,
record,
you
as
could
we've
just bark
already
at Shad all
established.
day.
You could bark at
about
Shad
that.
about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I mean, that's a well-established thing. Everybody thinks that's the case,
Okay, so question for Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Do you guys miss living in the Pacific Northwest?
The PNW.
Washington State.
The
Yeah.
PNW.
That's
So-
where we grew up. We were
Yeah,
there for
I'm
many
actually
years.
right now in a current battle, you would say, an argument
Mhm.
with future Monomaniacs guest Jake Coonrat about the PNW, specifically about calling it the PNW, because his wife is from the PNW. She was raised in Alaska and then moved to the PNW her freshman year of college.
I would say Alaska's the PNW, though.
No.
It's adjacent to the Pacific.
It's not contiguous. The three states that make up the PNW do not attach to Alaska. There is a bit
It's
of
the
Canada
same-
that prevents you from getting to Alaska.
It's the same climate. It's the same.
No, it's not.
Well, like for the most part, yeah.
No, it's
in
not.
southern Alaska.
No. You have to drive for
All right.
like 2 or 3 hours through Canada to
Let
get
me-
to Alaska.
Let me give you this at the very least. All
Okay.
right, so,
This better be worth you shaking the mic.
are you? Yeah, Mr. Touching your mic the whole episode. Come on.
We're gonna come to blows. We got like 2 Patreons to record after this.
Yeah,
It's gonna get crazy.
This is gonna be insane. So,
Yeah.
going up the coast of Canada.
Yeah.
Right. Would you say that the forests and the climate are similar as you move from Washington to Canada up into Alaska?
You're just talking about a gradient.
I'm
Yeah,
not talking
sure,
about a gradient.
sure. It's unnoticeable. If you like,
Okay, we
take
need to bring my wife down here. She's been there, dude.
She's been to
there.
Alaska?
She's been to Alaska.
to AK.
She was on a cruise, dude. She went. She saw Canada and Alaska and Washington.
Yeah,
State.
in the fact that there's just a bunch of evergreen trees. But as far as like the humidity is concerned, the
Josh, look it
temperature
up.
is concerned.
Look this up.
Look what up?
Just see what on Wikipedia.
What, you're just
if
gonna
you
look
look
at
up the Pacific Northwest, what happens?
You're gonna look at the northernmost point of Washington and the southernmost
No,
point of
I'm gonna
Alaska.
say,
I'm
look it
sure
up.
that there's like a 2-degree
Just
difference.
from a definition perspective, what is in the Pacific Northwest?
What is the Pacific Northwest?
Okay, this is according to worldatlas.com.
According to worldatlas.com.
In broader terms, the region, PNW, encompasses Alaska, Yukon,
Yes.
California, Western Montana,
Wait, California?
and parts of Wyoming.
Yeah,
Never
Northern
mind.
California is like, no way.
That's-
Well, for sure.
No way. There's
Yeah.
3 states in the Pacific Northwest. There's
You're
New
just
York-
thinking of the 3 states that are in Cascadia, dude. No, wait.
No, because
Technically, California is in Cascadia.
and
yeah.
also, well, that would actually be 3 states. There's
Yeah.
3 states in California, which is just, or in Cascadia, which is just Washington, Oregon, and Northern California. Cascadia is a fake country invented by a secessionist or a fake state, I guess, that's comprised of everything west of the Cascade Mountains. But, no, it's Washington and Oregon and like Idaho/Montana, maybe.
I don't know. What's this? WorldAtlas.com, owned by Mr. Atlas.
Hang on. I've got
Colorado has a better claim than Alaska.
Reddit.com.
Reddit.com. Oh yeah, they're
The experts.
You know,
Is Alaska PNW? I think the coastal mountains extending up through BC and Alaska should all be considered PNW up until the city of Anchorage.
up until the city of Anchorage.
That's Reddit.
Said by.
Reddit
Word of
user
God.
smell farts.
Yeah, 65.
You/smell farts. Look,
Yeah, no, I mean, in my mind, it's the same kind of like culture. It's the same.
what?
I mean,
the fact that it's like comprised entirely of people who ran away.
yeah. Well, what I'm trying to say is like, especially when it comes to the genesis of those regions.
Yeah.
Right. It's my wife watched a movie. I think it was
Okay.
last
Awesome.
night
I'm really great
about
to hear
John
this take.
Wayne. He goes up to Alaska.
My wife watched a movie, and I'm gonna have a take about a movie I didn't watch.
I was in the room.
Oh, you were in the room.
I was in the room.
You were playing your strategy game on your computer.
I was playing Grim Dawn. I was in there watching, I was right clicking on monsters and watching them die. And I looked up, and lo and behold, there's John Wayne's going to Alaska. He brings a prostitute up from a place of ill repute called the Hen House up into Alaska.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the same, like they stop on the way to Alaska from Seattle in the region in between, and it's that cultural gradient, right? I don't know, man. It all seemed to work for me.
So are you gonna answer the question already?
Did I miss it?
Yeah.
I do miss Washington because that's the true question, I guess.
Yeah,
In
I
some
guess.
senses, I miss the weather. I miss the
Yeah.
I miss the trees, the green.
Yeah.
It's a desolate wasteland here in the Midwest.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. I don't miss the culture. I miss the place though. And to continue on what I was saying earlier, I realized that I kind of left on a cliffhanger on the fact that the calling it the PNW thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Jake has been busting my balls because I call it the PNW, and I'm the only person he's ever heard call it the PNW. And he says people I know from the PNW, i.e., his wife, don't call it the PNW, right? But Nick Rowan out of nowhere called it the PNW over the weekend. So
There you go.
I'm just thinking that maybe we can call it the PNW. I'm from
because
PNW.
he is an expert on America. So that
I
makes
was
sense.
born and raised in the Pacific Northwest. I'm going to call it the PNW. Thank you very much.
There you go. Don't let him freaking shake.
If
your
you were
truth.
to okay, real quick. All right, grab an Alaskan. All right.
Grab an Alaskan man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grab them by the leg, man or woman. Interrogate them.
Mm-hmm. Whoa.
Do you live in the Pacific
Are we
Northwest?
talking like waterboarding? Are we talking?
No, just say, "Hey," and they're like, "What do you need?" And,
What was that accent? What do you need?
What do you need?
Welcome to Alaska. Here is some
Are
salmon.
you from Alaska? Are you from the Pacific Northwest? And they say, "What?" They're gonna say, "I'm from Alaska."
I don't know, man. I mean, have you?
Maybe that.
How many Alaskans do you know? How many Alaskans have you talked to about this?
Sarah Palin.
Famous
Other
Alaskan.
Alaskans.
Vladimir Putin, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's other Alaskans who have ever existed. Let's move on to the next question. You have another
All right,
question?
We got another question
Okay.
from Amber Strehle.
Gosh, this dog is just like giving me all sorts of love. It smells the cat. It knows that I've been giving affection to another animal.
No, cannot stand that.
Cannot stand that.
Okay, so this is, I guess, reaches into a story. So this kind of works. Do you guys still jump up and down on the ground when you play video games?
My mom will never let this go. But
Yeah.
when we were little
Well,
kids,
so not
and
only our
excited,
mom, but like our grandmother, anybody who knew us when
Yeah.
we were young. I mean, because like, look at us. We played video games when we were kids, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a crazy thing to say.
You could tell.
And we were very energetic, like ADHD kind of kids. Very mean-spirited.
Mean-spirited.
Yeah, I mean, we were like complete jerks to people when we were young. And I mean, our mom kind of hit on that one on her episode. Listen to that episode. It's a great one. That being said, one of those things that we would do is that when we were playing video games and we were excited, we would literally like jump up and down holding the controllers in our hands while we were playing. So like we weren't...
See, this is the thing. This is like...
We weren't sitting and playing and like staring at the TV. We were like actively participating in the action.
Well, here's the thing:
physically.
is that our mom and our grandparents will like constantly talk about this and make
Mhm.
fun of us for it. But
Yeah.
I've seen young children play video games and they do it. Like
Yeah.
I've my nieces and nephews on my wife's side. Kids that I've met through friends, etc. They all jump when they play video games. I don't
Mhm.
think it's that crazy. We were just ahead of the curve, I guess.
I don't know.
That's
I
what
mean,
the kids are up to right now.
Yeah, I mean, for some reason, it was an anomaly to everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Like, we were constantly made fun of it for it, and like so much so. I mean, I think the big thing that that kind of hurts us in this fact is that how old we were when we were still doing it. Like, I honestly, this might be crazy to say, like, I think I remember.
Not high school, but you said it wasn't high school.
I know, but like even in middle school,
No.
like if I got exceptionally excited,
He was
like
stand up,
standing
but that's
up.
just normal. That's normal.
I mean, like
I will still
Josh-
to this day.
Joshua Leavehauser, do you, when you get excited playing a video game, like even when you were in like high school, middle school, let's say that, did you get up and stand while playing? Do you have memories of this?
I will do that still.
Yeah, so you
he'll
do it
just-
still.
I mean,
Yeah,
I will. I mean, I've played games before, and
Really?
like yeah. I have like sworn, punched the air, like sitting at my computer.
Yeah.
On like the one weekend I get to play games in 2 months or whatever, right?
Mhm.
I will physically thrash. So, I mean, it's I think that and there's people like I never once broke a controller.
No,
like I
no.
never got went into a rage or anything. So I think we're unduly persecuted for something that we did when we were kids.
I don't know. I mean, I think it was. I mean, we talked about unduly persecuted. I mean, like bullying being something that helped shape us into the.
Yeah, well, none of our bullies saw us play video games.
Well, it's true. Well, our mother, I guess.
The greatest bully of all. One's own mother.
Yeah. That being said, I think that helped. I mean, I distinctly remember getting up and sort of like moving around while playing and actually feeling guilty doing it, right? Like being like, oh man,
Because you were
this is
so
cringe.
persecuted.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So, apparently that did help shake the habit. So who knows?
Our parents are just like, do you still do X embarrassing thing?
They're just trying to get us to say
Do
things on
you
air.
still chew your nails? Yes, Mom. Stuff
We're
like
stressed.
stuff like that. Where I think that this is the problem with having patrons is that they dictate your content like this. They come down from on high and decide, all because they're just making this happen and are really great people.
Yeah, all because they're pledging money that they could be spending on literally food to feed starving children.
Yes.
So just because
They're letting us make jokes about an artistic sandwich guy.
No, that was you singing an ode to him. I wouldn't call that.
I should probably get started on a poetic epic
Mhm.
on.
Well,
the great man.
do you have a whale this week, or am I going to have to carry
Gosh, what,
carry
it's
the
like-
whales?
Having a freaking life a whale? Is mowing your lawn a
Well,
whale?
all I'm going to say is if that's the case, then like we have entered into.
No, I'm still stuck on the whale that I 2 months ago like 2.5 months ago when we started this podcast. I'm still reading Warhammer novels.
Yeah.
I'm still doing that. I guess that would go beyond a whale at this point. I've now discovered a method of listening to the audiobooks for less than $1. And
That doesn't sound good.
yeah, I don't know. I've just been up to that, kind of focused on trying to amass more knowledge. At this point, the editor who I pitched that article to said that I've spent too much time on it and I should move on to something else. So at this point, I'm probably going to write a book. I don't know.
Why not?
Why not?
You tried.
You tried.
This dog and
Yeah.
hairs everywhere. I'm sorry.
Gosh, dude.
She just.
That's the
Super
important thing.
clean.
You got to make sure your podcast is interactive, right?
Exactly.
And our interaction is that this dog just will not leave me alone.
Yeah.
It senses that I have pet another creature and it is too much for it to handle.
Oh, poor thing. That being said, what other things do I have got? Well, I have
Sure.
going on. Right.
What's your monomaniac obsession?
Well, right now I'm thinking about how to leverage the magic card market right now. I've been thinking about that the last couple of days. 'Cause
Why?
We got all these cards,
Yeah.
and the question is, it's like because we're amassing them to play with them.
Yeah.
Right, is our goal, but also that's kind of a monomaniacal whale that we'll never truly achieve because like when we find the time and the people,
I think it'd be easier than you think.
but it's so much easier not to do things. That being said, one of the things I've been thinking about is how, magic cards, all these playing cards, I've got all these cards, and you can actively at any time just look up how they're worth at, how much they're worth at any given time.
It's stock market.
Yeah, so technically more stable than the current stock market.
Much more stable than NFTs.
Yeah, physical cards. That being said, should I be spending more time? Thought about this. Just on the internet with a tab open that I can just cycle over to that just has card prices going, so that I can at any time, be like, sell, buy, go for it.
Card day trade.
Yeah, I mean, because people do that. People make their living off of selling and buying magic cards, right? I mean, they usually go to conventions.
Well, you should just give it a shot.
I don't know, maybe.
Give it a shot. I think that's.
I'm so
it's not gonna
nervous.
work like that though. It's not that quick.
No, and I'm so nervous generally with anything in this sort of monomaniacal space. Because for me, the biggest barrier on any monomaniacal obsession I have is money, right? Like the second it's like, this is going to cost more than $20. Oh, that's not great. So I don't usually go for it, but I don't know. Yeah, it's been something that I've been extra focused on. So who knows? I might cross the Rubicon and become a guy that does that kind of thing, which would be additionally cringe.
Like one of those guys who's got to fly out to Vegas to sell his collection,
Yeah.
the whole damn thing.
I know. I mean, who knows if I'm making an additional $40,000 a year off of it? Then why not?
Wow. We're gonna have a studio at that point.
Yeah. You think I'm going to be using that to finance the studio? I'm using that to buy more Magic cards. Constantly flip that money over, dude. Watch it.
You gotta ride it to the moon.
No, we were talking about art. Buying art and then laundering money through that. I'll just be a guy that holds on to money for rich people and launders it through Magic card trading. Maybe that'll be my thing. If you're out there, you got $1 million, you got to wash, throw it my way. I'll make it happen. No problem, bro.